Sir, we are live.
A very good evening to all of you and a warm welcome to this online session hosted by Jindal School of Liberal Arts and Humanities. I'm Malini Gulati, Deputy Head of Admissions at OP Jindal Global University based in NCR. Today, we have with us erudite speakers from the academic team of Jindal School of Liberal Arts and Humanities. As we begin, we shall have the Dean of JSLH, Professor Kathleen Madrowski, address the audience. She teaches applied anthropology at JGU. I will request her to begin with a brief introduction about herself and then an overview of the undergraduate programs offered at Jindal School of Liberal Arts and Humanities. Next, we will have Professor Jayani Banerjee, Vice Dean, Academic Affairs. Professor Jayani is a PhD from the University of London, and she shall talk about the various course offerings, majors, electives, essential field projects, which are a part of the learning of our students enrolled in Jindal School of Liberal Arts. I will then request Professor Siddhi and Professor Zahir to talk about their roles as faculty and as associate deans. In today's session, we will also be drawing essential insights from two of our students from Liberal Arts and Humanities. Their names are Ritika and Aryan. They are also here with us today. Both Ritika and Aryan hold responsible positions of being a president and vice president of the Student Council at Jindal School of Liberal Arts and Humanities. The last 30 minutes of the session will again be devoted to question and answer session. We will be taking questions from the audience and our faculty will be here to answer them. Let's now watch a short video to see the campus facilities, and then I will humbly request the Dean, Professor Kathleen Madrowski, to please take on the session after the video. Thank you. Can you increase the volume? It's not audible.
Is it audible, Malini?
Not to me.
OP Jindal Global University was founded in 2009 as a non-profit, multidisciplinary and research-oriented university. JGU was established as a philanthropic initiative by its founding chancellor, Mr. Naveen Jindal, in the memory of his father, Shri OP Jindal. JGU has a phenomenal and unparalleled faculty ratio of 1:9. Schools at OP Jindal Global University cover a wide range of humanities, public policy, journalism, banking, arts, law, psychology, and liberal studies. Thanks to its outstanding faculty members and researchers who've collectively produced 5,000 publications and counting. JGU has laid strong emphasis on creating a world-class university that provides global education with interdisciplinarity across schools and programs. This is supported by JGU's world-class educational infrastructure and resources that are at par with globally recognized standards. The university classrooms, equipment, pedagogy, and overall academic culture conforms to the cutting-edge modernizations in technology and developments in global learning environments for the benefit of our students. After an intellectually strenuous day, students can make their way to sports grounds, replete with amenities. Students have the opportunity to sport under the guidance of highly qualified and experienced coaches. JGU also houses a performing arts academy, which serves the purpose of a performing arts theatre, a movie theatre, and a state-of-the-art conference hall. JGU's Global Library has a collection of over 60,000 print volumes and a globally exhaustive corpus of electronic resources. The university operates a health center that helps students, faculty, and staff. Today, as we return to a resuscitated, reoxygenated environment, we commit ourselves to our mission and vision like never before. Welcome to OP Jindal Global University. May you have a great year ahead.
Over to you, Malini.
Professor Kathleen, I would request you to please go ahead with your presentation.
Okay, here I am. Welcome everyone for your presence here and for coming to this virtual open house. As you can see, the campus is so wonderful. I think all of you, if you haven't come and visited yet, you're going to want to come because it's so much more to say, to do, once you really get the feeling of the place. So please make arrangements to come here. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I am the founding dean of this program, which is the School of Liberal Arts and Humanities, and that's been over the last 7 years. We have a fantastic faculty, and we also have very exciting students, and our program, which you're going to hear more about, is important. I'll tell you a little bit more about myself. I'm from the US, from New York and from the Midwest. I did my undergraduate studies at the University of Toledo in Ohio, and then I went to France, where I became very interested in the Arab world. So my graduate degree is in the anthropology of the Arab world, Arab language and studies. Because of this research, I was able to work and live for 3 years in Tunisia continually, studying a Bedouin population and the trials of migration, the upheavals and the changes that took place. Afterwards, I was fortunate enough to have been offered a place in the Center for the National Scientific Center for Research and Studies. And this is CNRS in France. I also taught at the School for Liberal Arts, the School for Economics and Social Sciences, also in Paris, France. At these two places, I worked with teams and was able to work with visual anthropology. I earned an auxiliary degree in visual anthropology as well. Following my 13 years in France, I came to the United States, where I was working and hired by Global University of Long Island University and was able to establish global programs in places like Africa, Italy, Costa Rica, and of course, the United States and Canada. This was very exciting because the whole emphasis was for students doing global studies there. I was also a founding member of PDHRE, the People's Movement for Human Rights Education, and that allowed me really to go more deeply into applied community education. So after these different opportunities, I met the vice chancellor, and he asked me to come and open up this program and work with the wonderful faculty to create a truly global program of liberal arts and humanities. And I can say with great pride, we are absolutely the most essentially global and innovative liberal arts program that I have seen in India. So I'm going to go through a series of slides that tell you a little bit more about why our program is so unique. Johnny, will you take it to the next one? Okay, many people ask this question. What is liberal arts and what's the difference between liberal arts and liberal education? Liberal arts has a very long history. It dates from the Greek and Roman times, and it also has its counterparts in India at the same period. What it is it's defining what are those areas of study that an individual needs to become an active citizen and also to function correctly as a free person in society. Those words may seem a little strange now, but their significance is still very important. In order to have this well-rounded education, you have to be inclusive of the arts, natural and social sciences, and the humanities. On the other hand, liberal education is a term we often hear. The National Education Project to 2020 in India underscores the need for liberal education, which is a very specific form of learning, which we practice in our global institution throughout JGU. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it, what makes it so attractive and so unique. Next slide, please. You able to get the next one up? Okay, so what are the principles that really create this type of learning? One is it's inquiry-based. That means you start out with questions. Many students have had in their schools the idea that you get the facts, you memorize the facts, you write them down, and you repeat them. Our approach with liberal education is inquiry-based. That means we have many questions. We should not be afraid to ask them. We should not be afraid to ask contradictory questions and to argue the points that we're discussing. It's also foundational with experiential learning. Experiential learning means in the classroom, in the community, even in our reading, we create a very active learning system in which we dialogue with each other. You dialogue with your faculty, and you dialogue with the text. When you come here, you're going to hear more about how to have this kind of active inquiry with the texts you're using. The other point is holistic assessment. So most of our assessment, the way you get your grades, the way you get your marks, is not based on right, wrong answers and points, but it's how you've perceived what you're doing, how your reasoning has worked, how it has held together the arguments. And that's why a lot of our work is based on written and oral responses. And also, I'll go to another point that's really important. I'm going to jump down to teamwork. We do a lot of group and collective work together. You work with your fellow students because we have found that people working together have a more exciting intellectual movement. You bounce ideas off each other and you share your knowledge and you share your doubts and you come up with very elaborate and interesting conclusions. I'm going backwards with collaborative community engagement. This is foundational. The university is not an ivory tower as it used to be conceived of. but we work within the community to serve the community. And when people graduate, we expect them to have a good idea of what their country is. What is India like? Where does it fit in with the rest of the world? And what are the needs? How can these be solved realistically in collaboration with the people who are most affected by it? So there we go with the last point, internationalization. This means our faculty is international. Our curriculum is derived from multiple resources coming from different parts of the world. South Asia, the United States, the UK. We try to avoid a domination of one point or another. But by giving these different focal points to the curriculum, the different ways in which scholars think about issues, then we're able to open up a whole world of learning to students. Our faculty is international. We have about 40% of our faculty who have, if they are not foreign nationals, they have studied abroad. And we encourage this by trying to make it possible for every student to have a short-term and a long-term engagement of study abroad. We're going to have someone else, I think Professor Gianni will talk about it, where we have these other programs. Okay, next slide, please. Yeah, I wanted to show this because this is collaboration in the community. For the past 7 years, we've been working in about 4 different communities that are very different from what we know on campus. And this is rural Haryana. The students work in the Anganwadis, which are the preschools and often attached to the government schools in the community. In this way, we're giving something to the community and we're getting a lot from them. We're getting knowledge, we're getting a better understanding of how they think, what the needs are, and it's a very engaging and a satisfying exercise for students with these required courses in which we work in the Anganwadi, in the school, in the community. I'll give you an example of one of the accomplishments we've done is using technology that students have learned, GPS. We've created a series of maps for the communities that had no maps. Another accomplishment is we've created workbooks where there were none for early childhood education. And this is, both of these projects were taken very supportive. They were required, they were asked to us to elaborate on by the communities. Okay, next slide. All right, we are, as you're all aware, entering a new world. Technology has really changed the way we look at things. And you wonder, well, with something like liberal arts and humanities, where am I going to fit in? You know, the liberal arts graduates are amongst the most desired ones within these new fields that are opening up, and in fields of activity and study that are being created, being looked at in a new way. Why? Because the requirements, and I'm quoting The Economist in this one, that are most spoken about for new kind of entry points in these careers mean that they're looking for people who have flexibility, they're adaptable, and they're resilient. Resilient meaning you're not frightened of change. Change is a constant, and our students are used to working within realms of change of different settings and analyzing it. So it's not something that's going to be a barrier in their learning and their action. We have a multidisciplinary approach to learning. We have a multidisciplinary approach to learning, which means that students study a variety of subjects from philosophy to technology to statistics to expressive arts, etc., and language that allows them to look at oftentimes the same problem from a different point of view. We also emphasize oral and written communication. This is something that for the future and in the present we found is woefully missing. People are used to speaking in very short, non-complicated terms, but when it comes down to explaining the deeper meaning of things, they're amiss. They're not able to do this. And our students learn how to speak to a variety of audiences and also to write in a way explaining situations, explaining their points, not just to a sophisticated scholarly group, but for a broader audience as well. There's creativity and innovation and problem solving. I mentioned before, our classes are inquiry-based. The problems are presented all the time. And students are able to work in teams. I think teamwork is probably one of the most interesting parts of our program because students understand the way that ideas become really substantial by contributions from people with different points of view. Okay, now the next slide. So what are you going to do in the future? This is always daunting. The future is changing. Every day we wonder, what are you going to do? I get the question from parents, yes, this is a wonderful program, but what will my daughter, what will my son do? Well, many of our students, I would even say the majority, go into advanced studies. They go into very good schools. They follow their passion by going on to master's and PhD programs as well. And having these advanced studies takes them a very long way. Okay, the program development and planning is another area, international organizations, content creation, government service, teaching, sales, marketing, and community development. And one more slide. I know I'm a little over. Okay, mentoring. Mentoring, and I believe Gianni's going to speak more about this, but each student is assigned a mentor, and I put this picture out because it's not a university mentor, but it's someone from the community. It's a pundit from a very important part of the community, and students learning from other people there also carry out very important tasks of learning from others, even though what is said to them may be contradictory to their own foundational beliefs. So this is an important part of communication. These are our students working in Sonipat. And the final slide, I believe. Okay, I'm not going to read this, but it is from Arthur Kleinman, and he defines what really matters. He's invoking the idea that change is important, not to be avoided, and not to be stressed out by it, because it is change, it is danger, uncertainty that is inescapable and gives meaning to life. Okay, and I think that is it. Thank you very much, and we'll have time for questions and answers later.
Thank you, Professor. May I now request Jenny to please come in?
Yes, I'm just trying to stop this and share my other screen.
You can close this PPT and then open
Yeah,
yours.
okay. Great. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jayani Banerjee. I'm the Vice Dean of the Jindal School of Liberal Arts and Humanities. I'm a geographer by training, and I know some of you must be thinking, oh, that's such a boring subject, right? I know at the school level, geography is taught as a very information-heavy subject, and many students take an instant dislike to it. But what drew me to geography was this fascination and this interest to try and understand the connection between people and places. And so after my undergraduate degree at Loreto College in Calcutta, I went on to do a master's and a PhD at Queen Mary University of London, where I did some research on Calcutta's Anglo-Indian and Chinese communities, basically trying to understand how people create a sense of home and identity in and through urban space. After my PhD, I held postdoctoral positions in the UK, in Singapore. I also taught in the UK for some time before joining the Jindal Global University, where I have been for 8.5 years now. So today I'm going to give you a sense of the academic program structure, but also give you a sense of what studying in JSLH is like, what the classroom in JSLH is like. And Professor Kathleen has highlighted some of these aspects a bit. So I'm going to skip this in the interest of keeping to our time. But I think it's important to understand that within JSLH, our classroom is the most important space. We see the classroom as a collaborative space. And by that, I mean, we see ourselves as teachers, but we also learn from our students. So our classrooms, our classes are very interactive, as Professor Kathleen mentioned. We learn through the dialogue and the conversation. Liberal arts by nature trains students to think in an interdisciplinary manner. So we focus, our curriculum is very interdisciplinary. I'll talk about that in a bit. We work extensively in the community. Many of our courses, especially foundation courses, have field work so that the learning is extended beyond the classroom as well. And alongside the academic curriculum, students are also assigned mentors. And each one of us have about 8 to 10 students who we take on as mentees, and for the entire duration of their study. And the mentoring meetings or discussions are really about helping you discover, what your interests are, what your strengths are, and later on help you also figure out what you might want to do after graduating from JSLH. Now, JSLH, as a school, offers 4 different programs: 3 undergraduate programs, a core BA Honors in Liberal Arts and Humanities, a BA Honors in Sociology, and a Bachelor of Fine Arts. Today, I'm going to, because from the interests of the participants, we've seen that almost all students have expressed an interest or have applied to the liberal arts and humanities program, so I'm going to talk more about it. But if you have questions about the BA Honors in Sociology and the BFA program, we can take that up later. But it's important, even if you are applying for the BA Sociology and the BFA program, it's important and interesting for you to understand the structure of the BA Honors in Liberal Arts and Humanities program, because many courses within the BFA and the BA Sociology program overlap with the BA LH program. So Professor Kathleen explained, the basis or the foundation of what liberal arts is really. And a key aspect of all liberal arts program is a very strong, broad-based foundation. Through these foundation courses, students then develop and follow through with a specific area, which we call the major. But our foundation courses are quite interesting. We've divided them, and these are courses that you will take from the first semester through to the third. Sometimes one or two are also in the fourth semester. And we've divided them into 3 parts: ways of thinking, which introduce you to different disciplinary aspects, the interdisciplinary seminars, and these are really quite interesting. So self and society, telling stories, and participatory research in communities are sort of the flagship courses of JSLH. And Professor Kathleen spoke about the Anganwadi focus in one of these courses. We can talk about these courses more if you want to know about these. We have also introduced a set of courses that we club under what we call tools for thinking. And, many people think that liberal arts has no connection with the sciences. But so we introduced a course called Scientific Imagination that introduces students to what is the scientific way of looking at the world, the digital present, engaging with, the world around us, and the way technology has how we can use technology to study the world, design thinking, and data visualization and analysis. JSLH offers a wide range of major options. So you can see them on the screen here, from psychology, sociology and anthropology, history, philosophy, international business, political science and international relations, economics, environment and sustainable development, digital humanities, comparative religion, and marketing arts and culture. These are, of course, single major, but what's very interesting is in our program that you may not necessarily find in other liberal arts programs in India is the possibility of opting for a self-designed major. And students who take a self-designed major are essentially interested in an area that covers several majors, usually 2 or more majors. So it's not combining. In the 4-year program, as you know, that we have transitioned into a 4-year undergraduate program now. So we have the possibility of students taking a double major. And a double major means, let's say, combining history and economics. But a self-designed major is slightly more nuanced. So, for example, somebody who's interested in art history would take visual art, as well as history, as well as some courses from sociology, and curate a specific basket of courses that's pertinent for your study area. We can talk, if you have questions, we can talk more about this. This is what the 4 years sort of looks like. I'm not going into the details of credits, etc. The admissions team will share a brochure with you which has all these details. But overall, once you graduate, you'll need about 194 credits with internships. So Professor Siddhi Gyan Pandey will talk about internships later on. What's interesting in our program, again, apart from the foundation courses, is the focus on languages. So all students take a foreign language, and a focus on expressive arts. And within the expressive arts, you have a choice. Students usually take a combination between visual arts, digital media, dance, theater, music, and cinema. So these are some photos from our design thinking class, where, as you see, it's quite an active class. It's not the sort of classroom where you're just sitting and learning, but you're actually learning by doing, as we explain experiential learning. And the other aspect, before I end my talk, I wanted to highlight the internationalization aspect, and Professor Kathleen mentioned this as well. All students who join JSLH have the option of either going for a semester abroad or opt for short-term study abroad programs that are available. And these are quite important, because we've seen students who go for semester abroad or a short-term study abroad program and really come back with a different world vision and a different perspective that helps in their studies. So amongst the summer and winter short-term programs, we have one with Sciences Po in Paris. We have actually two with the University of Granada, once in summer and the other in Spain. We also have two programs with Oxford. The summer one is a PPE program, and the winter one is more an arts, politics, and culture course. Semester abroad opportunities. I'm going through these slides very quickly, but I can respond to more specific questions during the Q&A. These are the universities where our students can opt to go for semester abroads. We also have the possibility of dual degree programs. So we have collaborations with Deakin University, University of Sussex, and Rollins College, in case that's an option you're interested in. So I will stop here for now. I'm happy to take questions later on, but I would request Professor Siddhi Gyan Pandey to talk about the internship component in the BLH, but also BA Sociology and BFA programs. Over to you, Professor Siddhi.
Thanks, Jayani. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Siddhi Pandey. I am an economist by training. I'm a theoretical microeconomist, and my PhD and my research is in the area of game theoretic analysis of social networks. I've been teaching at JSLH for about 4.5 years now. I teach economics. I also teach statistics and a few elective courses on game theory, social networks, and an introductory course on logic as well. And I am also the Associate Dean of Career Development. So today I wanted to take some time to talk to you about the internship program at JSLH, as well as our graduate outcomes. Now, JSLH, since its inception, has been implementing a very rigorous internship program, which mandates a certain number of internships for all of our undergraduate students in order to graduate. At this point, given that all of our undergrad degrees are now 4-year degrees, this number stands at 5. So every student who graduates from JSLH with an undergraduate degree has to complete 5 mandatory credited internships. These internships fall in 2 categories. The first one is professional internships, which involve about 4 to 6 weeks of professional engagement with a variety of organizations, really, art galleries, museums, research organizations, government and non-government organizations in the social sector, and of course, the private corporate sector. We also have another category of internships, which is what we call academic internships. These include the short-term immersion programs and the international summer and winter schools that Professor Jaini just spoke about. We feel at JSLH that internships are very important for our students, not only because they sort of allow our students to engage meaningfully with the real world, they allow our students to learn from these experiences, and they provide an opportunity for our students to take their classroom learning into the real world. They expose our students to the modern workplace. A lot of students who, when they first apply for the BLH program, don't have much clarity on what they want to major in. So it is often their internships that they do in the first year, year and a half, which really helps them decide to some extent what they want to major in. These internships, of course, enhance employability of our students. And of course, they also provide our students with very valuable international experience. We also have the Office of Career Services, which is a university level body. And there is a dedicated team of within OCS, which works with JSLH. They provide our students with internships and career support. They organize trainings as well as one-on-one mentoring sessions with our students. They also organize the annual internship fair and the annual higher education fair. And they help our students prepare for higher education, which includes workshops and lectures to help them prepare for competitive exams, to help them through the entire application process for graduate admissions as well. Now, I want to talk a little bit about our graduate outcomes. So as Dean Modrowski mentioned at the very beginning, a vast majority of our students, in fact, go on to pursue further higher education. And they do this in the form of master's programs from institutions which are very reputed, which include Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard. But there are also some students who do enter the workforce, if only temporarily, before they also go on to pursue their higher education. The students who do enter the workforce, they also find employment in a variety of roles and a variety of sectors. So the roles that they find work in include research and analysis, content development, project management, designing and social media management, and marketing and human resources. And the sectors include consultancy, advertising, design, performing arts, journalism, publishing and media, NGOs, and corporate communication and public relations. Now, because there is so much diversity in our students in terms of their interests, in terms of what they major in, many of them are deeply influenced by the short-term study abroad programs or even the semester exchange programs that they participate in. Many of our students actually create very unique trajectories for themselves. And I thought that it wouldn't do it justice to try and compress all of that in the form of statistics and numbers. So what I have done today is I thought that maybe I would share with you some career trajectories of some of our recent graduates as well as some of our older graduates. So hopefully this will give you some sense of the kind of possibilities that our BLH program opens up. So here in this slide, I have all of these students I have taught right from the start till when they graduated. These are our recent graduates. Madhumita Suresh, she did a self-designed major in environment studies and economics. Then she went for a semester at Trinity College, Dublin. She's currently working at Ernst & Young as a climate and sustainability analyst. She also recently published her undergraduate research in the Journal of Environmental Management. Uttara Vinod, who majored in international business, is now pursuing an MBA at IIM Ranchi. Gauri Pandey, who majored in history, she also went for a semester at the International College of Liberal Arts in Japan. She got a very prestigious Millennium Fellowship for this, and she's now pursuing MPhil in medieval history at the University of Cambridge. Sanjana Bajaj, who majored in economics, is now pursuing MSc in economics at Terry School of Advanced Studies in Delhi. Sunidhi Mardha, who majored in psychology, she took a little bit of a break in which she became a personal trainer for a while. She's also a tattoo artist, and she's now going to pursue her master's in counseling psychology at Monash University, Australia. Sheikh Shayan Fayaz, he did a self-designed major in history and visual arts, and he secured the very prestigious Felix Scholarship to pursue master's in history of art and visual culture from Oxford University, UK. So as you can see, there is really a very wide variety of things that our students do. Our students do manage to crack some very competitive exams within India as well. So Uttara, for example, who's doing her MBA, Sanjana, who's doing her MSc in economics. These are exams which happen in India and are very competitive. Our students also make it to very established, very reputed universities abroad with very good scholarships. I also wanted to talk about some of our older students because these students have graduated a while ago and are now pursuing careers. So Urja Joshi, who graduated in the year 2020, she did a self-designed major in EVS and religion. And she went for both a summer school as well as a winter school at Oxford University and the University of Granada, Spain. And she's now doing a master's in divinity and religious studies at Harvard University. Harnoor Kaur, who did a self-designed major in EVS and psychology, she went for a summer school at Harvard and a semester abroad at Queen Mary University of London. She then went on to pursue masters in water science, policy, and management at Oxford, and is now working in the water project in the United States. Vaishnavi Singh, who graduated in 2019, she majored in literature. She did an MSc in comparative literature from the University of Edinburgh. She started working for Tata Steel UK and in the area of communications, and she's now an executive editor at Oxbridge Publishing. Hugh Manivanan, they did their major in political science and international relations. They went for a semester to Trinity College, Dublin. Then they did their MPhil in international peace studies, worked as a research analyst at the Center of Human Rights Studies, worked at United Nations Bangkok, worked at SI Education, and now are pursuing their PhD in international relations from University of St. Andrews. And Sukaina Hussain, who graduated in the year 2018, she did a self-designed major in comparative religion and history. Then she went for a master's in creative writing and publishing at Kingston University in London, and is now working as a digital content manager at Marketing Valley, UK. And also, she also works for Stage Door, which is a theater house in UK and in India. So I have deliberately chosen these examples from a wide variety of our majors, as well as our self-designed major. And hopefully you can see through these trajectories how the exposure that our students get as part of their summer schools, winter schools, and also their semester exchange semester abroad, this really helps shape their career trajectory later on in life. And if there are any more questions, I'll be happy to take them later. But right now, I would like to invite Professor Zahir Abbas, who is the Associate Dean of Student Affairs at JSLH, to talk about student life at JSLH.
Thank you so much, Professor Siddhi. Before I begin, because this is student affairs, I think it's only natural that we actually have representatives from amongst the student community. So I'd like to invite Aryan and Ritika and I'd very briefly, very quickly ask them to introduce themselves after I'm done, if that's okay, Ritika and Aryan. All right, great. Well, my name is Zahir Abbas. I'm a historian by training, and I've done all of my higher studies from JNU. I did my MA, MPhil, and PhD all from JNU. I specialize in modern history. My PhD work was on the evolving sectarian relationships between the Shias and the Sunnis of old Lucknow. And I was a huge Harry Potter fan. I think I've kind of grown out of it. I continue to remain a huge Lord of the Rings fan. And I listen to rock music. Pink Floyd is my favorite band. And I also like Rahul Dravid and Roger Federer a lot. So now may I please invite Ritika and Aryan to briefly introduce themselves?
Very good evening to everyone. My name is Ritika. I'm from Kolkata and I'm in my third year at JSLH. I also happen to be the president of our college. And I've come from an ISC background, which means in class 11 and 12, I had ISC as my board and I majored in humanities. Here I'm majoring in psychology. And yes, I'm looking forward to talking to everyone. Over to you, Aryan.
I hope I'm audible. Hello, I'm Aryan Panchal. I'm the Vice President of the Jindal School of Liberal Arts and Humanities. I'm in my third year and I'm majoring in Political Science and International Relations. A little about my background. I'm from Bombay and I come from a science background. So I did computer science with engineering in 11th and 12th. I realized that that was not the field that I was wanting to do, and I wanted to stray away from the traditional role of rote learning and wanted to focus more on actual learning based on reality. I wanted to study subjects like history and arts and politics. And of course, that led me to liberal arts, and thus I took admission in Jindal because it's the best place for liberal arts in India, at least. So I'm very happy that I'm here, and I'm looking forward to any and all questions that you might have for either me or Ritika. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Ritika and Aryan. Well, like everyone else, even I have a PPT prepared. And as it loads, I think we should begin first and foremost by kind of addressing the very fundamental question of why have something like student affairs to begin with. When we're in school, of course, there is no section like student affairs, no department, etc. So why have student affairs? We begin fundamentally by understanding and acknowledging the fact that while a university does stand for learning and education, a very well-known quotation from our first Prime Minister Nehru, I think, beautifully encapsulates all that a university should stand for. But we at JSLH are firm in our conviction that learning, that education, values do not necessarily have to be confined to within the classroom alone. These are virtues that can be taught even outside of the classroom space. Now, as Professors Madrowski, Professor Joyani, and Professor Siddhi were speaking, they would have provided several examples of how our students actually go out into the field, and they are all usually part of certain academic requirements or the courses that they're doing. What Student Affairs does is to take that forward, but in a different vein, as it were. So not as part of their academic requirements, but in the hope that it might reveal a certain different facet of each and every student's life. So we begin fundamentally by an understanding that learning does not need to be confined to the classroom alone, and it can happen even outside it. So what then is student affairs? I mean, if it is aspiring towards trying to inculcate certain virtues in students outside of the classroom, how does it happen? The student affairs, as the PPT makes clear, is not a department, it's not even a center, it's not an organization, a club, or a society. It is really this very idea that learning can and should not be confined to the classroom, that student affairs is attempting to try and manifest and actualize. And how does that all happen? It begins also fundamentally by understanding that the students who join JSLH have just stepped into adulthood, and that they can demonstrate their skills, their abilities by more than simply sitting in a classroom and answering the questions that have been posed to them by their teachers. Student Affairs attempts to try and offer a platform outside of the classroom in which our students can demonstrate these abilities and skills. And also, it is firm in its belief that teaching and learning is a two-way street. It is a dialogic process, and that we have as much to learn from our students as they have from us. And in so doing, then we move on to perhaps the first important way in which we demonstrate our trust in these young adults, our students, and that happens by introducing them to the very democratic ethos that JSLH prides itself on, and it is by means of the student elections. We've already met Kritika and Aryan, who are, of course, president and vice president, respectively. And they, of course, are not like your school monitors. They have not been cherry-picked or chosen by their teachers. They were elected by their peers. And that then immediately opens them up to questions and thoughts, to criticisms even, by the individuals that have elected them, their peers, and they are effectively accountable for their actions and their roles to the students. So at this point, I'd like to invite Kritika and Aryan to maybe just share a little bit about what it meant to participate in the JSLH Student Council elections, and if at all they've had any, just being presidents and vice presidents, how have that affected them?
I think JSLH has always provided me with a lot of opportunities, and I was that kid who always tried to balance extracurricular with studies. And I think JSLH really helped me with that. And because I really believe in experiential learning and also learning from my peers, these varied, experiences just led me. It felt like it just led me into leadership positions, like the elections, which is a rigorous process. And I think it just made me realize my potential a lot and how I can contribute in a setup and in an institution. And overall, I think it just made me a confident person that not only is able to do things themselves more confidently, but also lead a group of people and do work together and lead them into also feeling confident about what they're doing. So I think that's my biggest takeaway from all of this.
Great. I would like to inform the audience that while they were campaigning, Ritika and Aryan, they made several promises. One promise, however, they failed to keep. So while they were campaigning, they promised all the students that they would do away with end-term examinations. Unfortunately, that is a promise that they have been unable to keep. But well, student elections, it gives us a sense of how we repose trust in our students, hoping and believing that they are capable of exercising certain choices, electing individuals that they think are worthy to represent them, and also holding them up to higher standards. But what about, this is Ritika and Aryan presenting their speeches, the presidential debate. But what about the other students? Of course, there can only be one president and one vice president, but how do other students contribute towards upholding this the school itself? That happens by means of responsibilities, by through the undergraduate research conference, which happens every year. It is a mammoth event, and like anyone who's ever organized any event, we realize that we cannot do it alone. In this, we bank heavily on our students to act as volunteers. And insofar as it is an event that also opens us up to the scrutiny of everyone who comes to present papers during the undergraduate research conference, we need to obviously put our best foot forward. And there can be absolutely no slippages. I'm glad to report that our students have ensured that there never have been any slippages because they've been excellent, responsible volunteers. Again, if I might invite Ritika and Aryan to briefly, because if memory serves, I think Ritika was partly responsible for organizing the student volunteers, while Aryan presented a paper in previous years' undergraduate research conference. So if I might again quickly invite them to just share a few, shed light on the experiences.
Well, as Professor Zahir said, it is indeed a mammoth event. And in fact, it is such a big event that the next one is supposed to be 4 or 5 months from now, but we are already planning it, as in we are already 1 month into the planning of the next undergraduate teachers conference. So I had the honor of presenting my paper last research conference. I presented a paper on Indian secularism. So the preparation began a couple of months prior. I had to write an abstract to submit to the board, which they reviewed and gave me suggestions on, and then it got approved, and then I had to submit a paper and a presentation. it was a great experience because I'd never done anything like this in the past, and it is a big thing for you personally and of course for your resume as well to have presented a paper for an academic conference, especially an undergraduate research conference. So very few universities hold them, very few courses have them. So it's a very good thing for you personally and of course for your CV as well. And the great thing is that the paper that I presented will now be converted into a 10,000 word thesis that I have to write for my last year. So it's a great trajectory to follow because now when I graduate, I'll have a proper peer-reviewed paper ready, which I can publish in well-renowned articles in journals all around the world. So of course, presenting in the URC is a great opportunity for all undergraduate students, and if any of you are planning to join, I would urge you to participate in it in your first year itself as well.
Thanks, Aryan. Ritika, would you like to say something?
I think just to stress on the fact that first years are even able to participate in a research conference, because it may not sound like a big deal, but going through college and listening to people's experiences from other colleges as well, I think the fact that this is an undergraduate research conference is a very big opportunity, because most research conferences are not really open to undergraduate students. But I think because JSLH has been like, the system of education here is very conversational, and I think as it has been stressed by Dean Kathleen and Professor Jayani, that the classroom setups is very interactive and you are expected to bring in ideas beyond whatever is just simply put in a PPT or on paper. So I think that really translates well in the like, it's a very big opportunity, I think, for students to be able, as an undergraduate, be presenting in front of senior PhD holders and professors and even students from other universities. The fact that they are listening and peer reviewing your paper as a first year in college is a very big opportunity. So yeah, I just second whatever Aryan said.
Great, thank you so much. Well, these are a group of volunteers at the end of the previous undergraduate research conference. And of course, it is at the end of it all of the URC. Now, I gather that I'm running short of time, and therefore I'll very quickly take us through the mentorship program. This is something that Professor Jaini had also alluded to. As much as we trust our young adults who can walk into JSLH to make correct decisions and choices, we also recognize that college immediately opens them up to an appreciation of a kind of freedom that school never allows them. In school, you live in a very protected, cocooned environment. But as soon as one joins college, there is just so much freedom that oftentimes one does not know what to do with it. Temper and curb the unrestrained and abuse of that freedom, we have the mentorship program in which each and every student who joins JSLH is assigned a faculty member. And in so doing, we are not simply motivated or guided by the fact that a student should only work with such faculty members as have similar academic or interested in music quite widely. We attempt to try and assign them to such a faculty member who also listens to their kind of music so that they have things to talk about. The idea being that we should develop and cultivate a rapport over and beyond the fact that we are simply students and faculty members. We are, at the end of the day, also human beings, and there are a lot of our choices. And I think student affairs fundamentally attempts to try and encourage that healthy kind of an association between two individuals. These are some of my erstwhile mentees who passed out of JSLH now. I continue to remain in touch with them. And finally, student affairs is also concerned with organizing sports and events. Learning, we believe, should also be celebratory and fun. And again, I'm just going to quickly show you a few photographs of the things that we do in collaboration with our students. Professor Kathleen, I don't know how many runs she scored on this occasion, but my team won. Again, this is Teachers' Day. And of course, we also win awards while we're doing all of this. Right, thank you so much. I'm sorry for having exceeded the time.
Thank you very much, professors, for that highly informative talk. I would now throw the floor open to question and answers. I request the attendees to please raise their hands or come on video and ask questions. You can also type your questions in the chat. Also, I would like to inform the attendees that our admission can complete their application formalities, the online form for Jindal School of Liberal Arts and Humanities by the 18th of December. And after submitting the online application, they are supposed to upload their personal statement as well. The interviews with the faculty will be scheduled early January, but they will have to first go through the JSAT, that is from the 21st to the 24th of December. So I will request Simran, please type the JSAT dates on the chat box. 21st to 24th December, they are the JSAT dates, the online test. Our application deadline of December, and students aspiring to join the BA Honours Sociology or the Bachelor of Fine Arts or Jindal School of Liberal Arts and Humanities, all programs, you should complete your application by December. So I can ask, I will request the students to please take questions and ask the faculty.
You can unmute yourself and talk to us directly. Feel free to. Yeah, someone has raised the hand. Please go ahead.
The JSAT time slot, the web link is broken. It's showing error message since yesterday.
Okay.
We are not able to slot the JSAT time.
Wonderful, wonderful. Simran, can you just note down the name of the student and look it into the technical part of this tomorrow?
Sure, sir.
Thank you, sir. We will take care of it. Please go ahead if you have further question regarding the course.
None. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Hello everyone, can I switch on my video?
Yes, sure. I'll just quickly respond to Nithya's question in the chat box. Is the study abroad option available to all students? Yes, it is. The study abroad option is available to all students. But of course, you know, there are limited number of seats and it is very competitive. So you have to do well in your studies. There are two types, actually. There's a semester exchange and semester abroad. So the semester exchange is an arrangement with our partner universities where you pay only your JGU fees and the tuition fees at the partner university is waived. You, of course, have to pay for your travel and stay there. But the study abroad option is a payable option. So it's technically open to anyone who wants to go. But again, it's a competitive process.
Wonderful. So you can please appear. Please ask your question.
So hello everyone, I'm Shambhavi. So if I will be very much privileged, then I would join the JSLH school, of course. So I want to ask about the language thing because I read the brochure and it's given like Spanish 1 in semester 1 and Spanish 2 in semester 2. But I already studied German for 3 years and I did my A1 courses. So is there any option to study any other language other than Spanish?
Yes, absolutely. So Spanish. The Spanish language is integrated with the JSLH curriculum because we also have a summer school, but there is a school of languages in JGU and students can choose between French, German, Mandarin, in some semesters, I think Persian or Arabic is also offered. So yes, you do have the possibility of
Okay,
choosing.
ma'am, and also I do have one more question. Ma'am, as you talked about geography, ma'am, you said that in the junior sections when we are taught geography, so it's basically memorizing and like learning and writing. But since very small grade, I was very much interested in geography. So now I'm studying physics, chemistry, and biology. I'm a pure science student. But in the back of my mind, I had that I want to study liberal arts and humanities and subjects related to social studies. And like much more, I'm inclined toward geography only. And so in the brochure about the geography part, it's not very much mentioned over there. And you also talked about self-design major and double major. So what's the thing that we can do from geography when I join the school, if I'll be able to
So
join?
geography is actually a very broad-based discipline. It's it's probably the only discipline that has the sciences. So people who study the physical geography aspect will have resonances with the environmental and sustainable development major. Those who specialize in human geography is more aligned with sociology and anthropology. One thing that you will realize is that, the more you study, the less meanings disciplinary boundaries hold. So our society, space, culture course, for example, is a course that combines sociology, anthropology, geography. So many of the courses that I teach, of course, have geographical component. There are courses in other schools in JGU, for example, that have political geography. So it depends on your interest. We will help you find courses because there are, as you know, 12 schools across JGU. And this is one of the biggest advantage of studying liberal arts in JGU, because all students have the possibility of taking cross-listed courses from across the 12 schools.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am.
There's a question, Rinalini, I think, is there an option to do an economics major and a psychology minor? So we don't have we officially don't call it a minor per se, but if you look at the program structure, students have the possibility of taking in the 4-year program between 6 to 8 courses within any area of their choice. So let's say you choose to major in economics, you will have those 6 to 8 courses that you can take in a specific area of your choice. So you could take psychology courses. In the end, we have seen when students apply to universities, either in India or abroad, what matters really is the title of courses on your transcript and looking at the range of courses that appear on your transcript. So definitely alongside economics, you can take psychology. Quite a few of our students have actually gone into behavioral economics and have opted for this combination as part of self-design, but also otherwise.
That was great, Jenny. So there is a question about the entrance tests. So I just want to inform the participants that we do accept the JSAT scores, and a minimum cutoff is 50% and above. And apart from that, we also accept the SAT, ACT scores for our liberal arts program. For the BFA, that is Bachelor of Fine Arts, we are accepting the students through a Jindal Art and Aptitude test, followed by a portfolio review. So our JSAT, SAT, ACT, they are considered for liberal arts and sociology. And for Bachelor of Fine Arts, it will be Jindal Art and Aptitude test, followed by the portfolio review. For any questions related to admissions, I will request Simran, my colleague, Priyanka, my colleague, to please wave at the participants. They are both the admissions team. And please type your numbers in the chat box along with your email IDs. So the admission team comprises of Simran, she's right there, Priyanka, she's also there. They will be interacting with all of you on a daily basis regarding your application submission and your personal statement. I head the admissions for liberal arts and humanities. My name is Malini. You can also reach out to me. Simran will be sharing my contact details with you.
Okay, could I take Anika's question? So Anika, you've asked about the foundation courses. Thank you. That's actually a great question. The foundation program in liberal arts courses, but particularly in JSLH, is meant to introduce you to the different disciplines, of course, but also to help you understand the connections between different disciplines. So if you saw that the ways of thinking courses, so understanding the past focuses on history, the story of you is on psychology, society, space, culture, as I explained, is sociology, anthropology, geography. What's interesting about these ways of thinking courses is that these are not just introductions to the disciplines, but many of the courses draw from other courses. So let's say while teaching society, space, culture, I might refer to a module that is taught in the understanding politics course, understanding the past course. So that's one aspect. We have, as I explained, a set of three interdisciplinary seminar courses. And these courses are very interesting because it actually trains you to think in an interdisciplinary term. So this is, an interdisciplinary education is probably a phrase you have, come across many times. But what does it actually mean to think in an interdisciplinary manner, or how can you think in an interdisciplinary manner? So these seminars are designed in a way that combines readings that are quite broad, drawing from different areas. They focus on field visit, they focus on debate, and really help you appreciate and understand the connections between different disciplines. And the tools for thinking courses in our foundation courses are really, as the term suggests, tools to, so the data visualization course, how do you, so it's a statistics course, but how do you also, use statistics to understand things? So then design thinking course is geared, very simply put, towards problem solving. How do you use design thinking to solve a particular problem, and so on. So that's a unique aspect of a liberal arts program. I hope that that answers your question clearly. Mannat asked whether you have to stick with the major I choose during the application. To join JSLH, you do not have to declare a major when you apply. This is why we have this foundation programs. In the 4-year program, at the end of your first year, you will need to declare a major. So by then, you would have studied, gone through all the ways of thinking courses, and that would have given you an idea about what each major or each disciplinary area is about, and you can make a choice then. Some students have changed their major once they have started, but then, of course, it depends if it's an allied discipline or not. So if you want to switch from economics and history, some of those courses can be counted as optional, but then you miss out on some. But if you, let's say, switch between international business and economics, there could be some overlaps. But yeah, in any case, you have 1 year to make up your mind. Soumya asked, what exactly do we look for in a student applying to JGU? And assistance for learning disabilities. Is there anyone who would like to respond, or should I go ahead?
Jenny, go ahead and emphasize the diagnosis before coming. Okay.
So when I take interviews, as you know, all students applying to JSLH has to have an interview with a faculty member. So what I look for in a student, of course, we look at the grades, but the grades are not everything. What I look for really is whether a student is curious about what's happening around the world, whether the student is posing questions, whether the student is thinking out of the box, because we want our students to think in an interesting manner. Rote learning won't take you very far in a liberal arts program, because much of the learning is very active. So you have to participate. So we look for students who are really, asking questions, raising questions. You may not necessarily have the answer to everything, but you should be well informed, but also have a certain level of curiosity about what's happening around you. There is a disability support committee in JGU, and students with learning, it depends on the learning disability. So for example, we've had students with dyslexia or ADHD, for example. You will need to get in touch with the Disability Support Committee, and they usually provide extra time. Students, if they have like visual challenges, for example, we usually, let's say, make this PPT or the screen larger for them. If students need help with a scribe in the exam, that also the Disability Support Committee usually looks into. But if you have a specific question, my email is there on the website. Please feel free to email me and I can respond to it more specifically.
Thank you, Jenny. So I'll just take one last question from a student about, he wants to know about the cultural clubs and about the annual events. So Zahir, if you can just take that question quickly.
I think I was on mute. I can answer the question. I can speak very briefly about JSLH specific societies that we have. There is, of course, the history society called Tarikh, which recently went for a tour of Majnu Katila. There is an online literary and historical blog called the Parthenon. Again, these are all student run. There is another society that is just about to be established called Averna, which is the JSLH Research Society. There are, of course, several JGU-wide societies. I could again maybe ask Ritika and Aryan to very quickly shed light on the theatre, SOC, or the dance society, etc., because I think they're also members of such societies.
Right. So, of course, you would expect the usual societies such as dance, music, theater. We also have niche societies. We have Aperture for photography. We have who have their own dedicated budget and their own dedicated presidents who are also nominated or elected by the student body. So every school is given a different, every society is given different budget to run their events. So every society will have different events. We also have different law school societies for open to other students as well, such as the Moot Court Society. Also have the Debate Society. We also have the Model United Nations that students can participate into. So of course, these are all the general societies that you can look forward to. There are also a lot of centers if you want for academics, the Center for Security Studies, Center for Middle East Studies, Center for New Economic Studies. So apart from societies, there are a lot of centers as well if you want to go towards academic approach towards these initiatives as well.
Right, great. So we're coming to an end of the session. Azad sir, do you want to say something?
So before we close, can you, Jenny, talk about this question asked by Nitya?
Yes, I wanted to respond to that question actually. So Nitya, the law school was the first school of JGU. JSLH is the fourth or the fifth school, I think. The law school is the largest school in the sense that it has, the most number of students. But I think, I think that's why people talk about the law school more, but the liberal arts school is actually holds quite a special place in JGU's ecosystem, and all the schools in JGU work very collaboratively. So I had explained that any student in any of the school is able to take courses from other schools. So if you join the School of Liberal Arts and Humanities, you can take courses from the School of International Affairs or the Business School or the School of Psychology or even the law school for that matter. And quite a few of our students actually go on to do an LLB later on in JGU too. So, like they say, don't always judge the book by its cover. So there is more than the law school in JGU.
Thank you, Jenny. Adding to this, every year the university decides to open a new school because we are expanding our horizon in the social science sector as well as into the science very soon. You might be hearing about the news that we are coming up with many science courses. Now, since every year we are introducing new courses and new schools, so today, tomorrow, you will see the new schools growing, new schools coming in. So the law school, which was started, the first school of the university, has created its space. Globally, we have ranked 150th, the youngest law school in the world, and 68th, the top law school in the world as well. Now you just think about how big our family is, in terms of the courses we are offering, 52 plus courses. And we are hosting more than 1,500 faculties. 25% of our faculties are of international origin. We have faculties from all across the continents, living here in Sonipat, where our campus is situated. Since we are 100% residential campus, so all our students lives inside the campus because we are itself a city, and being considered as one of the most safest university campus in India. We are more of a female-friendly campus. All the entire infrastructure, which provides you the 24 hours security, more than 300 female security personnel are deputed, 1,000 plus cameras installed. One of the finest sport facilities available in the campus. The entire health setup, 28 medical staff available 24/7. And we have also collaborated with the top hospitals nearby for in case of any emergencies. 7 ambulances are parked in the health center area for any kind of emergency situation. One of the finest food that we serve in the campus, a lavish buffet, and we have created a separate section for the students in the from south part of the country. We call it Dakshinam. So one of the finest infrastructure our university could offer in Delhi NCR. So with this, I think we are happy to conclude the session in case anyone have any more questions. I think we are now fine to, so Malini, go ahead and conclude the session. I think we are done with the session today.
Thank you very much, everybody, for being here and making this online session a success. As we have shared with all of you our contact details, please feel free to contact us after this session, and we'll be happy to take your questions. Thank you, faculty, for being part of this session and hosting it so well for our students and our parents. Have a great evening ahead. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Malini. Thanks.
Right. So I think the students, yeah, they have exited. Ritika,
I think we still
do you
have
have
a few
question?
students.
Okay.
We can have
Faculty?
IT team, please stop broadcasting.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Sunil, did